Hello, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 523, your Detroit Lions 2024 NFL Combine Prep. And the first comment straight away, FTP. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris. And with me is my wonderful, good friend, hotel living man, Jeff Rizdon. How you doing, my man?
I am hoping that this setup works because we're having some technical behind-the-scenes issues. I apologize for that in advance. I'm working with a new laptop, and I'm in a hotel that doesn't have lighting or apparently a few other things. So we're going to see how this goes. It'll be fun.
You look good. You look good. I got out of the shower. Like, I was screaming to get in here. I had everything set up, and I was like, I got to get a shower. So I ran through the shower. I came in here. It was still wet, but I've managed to dry in the time that you were able to iron out your laptop. So we're good. New laptop for Riz, all that power in one place. I don't know how Indy's going to be able to handle it, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Today's show, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to do warm-ups. We're going to do the no cap numbers. We got Lions staff and player changes. We got to look at the free agency stuff and what to look for in the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine. We got all that and a whole lot more. Riz, are you ready to go, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Woo! We'll get to this here. Just really quick, Nick, I have to do it. Congrats on the promotion, Chris. Yeah, thanks, buddy. It's a big one. It's a big one, man. Thank you.
Yeah. You worked very hard for this, so congratulations indeed. That's awesome.
It's a dream, man. It's like to be standing up an organization, and it's AI and automation and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is a place I love to be. Same company, but a lot of fun. So thank you, Nick. Appreciate that, man. It's a good time. It's a good time for it to hit too. There's a lot going on here, but it's not like the heart of the season. I got more information today on the draft, by the way, the draft party. It will be a private party. There will be people invited. There are most likely all going to be folks in the Patreon, but it's going to be, we'll have a group of people. We're going to finalize what the count will be, and then we'll start talking about it into the second and third weeks of March, what that'll look like. But draft by day, draft party at night, and a whole lot of great stuff. And of course, draft party will be broadcasted live, and you'll be there for the whole ball of wax. A lot of fun. Okay, let's quick thanks for the subscribe. Thank you, Brian Reddy. We're ready too. Could be Reedy. I can't read. But thanks a lot, man. Appreciate that. Folks, please like, subscribe, and jump in wherever you can. Lions Kool-Aid. Great comment. I really agree. Jeff, best in the biz. Best in the biz.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
All right, let's get in this.
Whoa, sorry. I'm fooling around here. I apologize. I have not been dialed in. So I came down to Indianapolis. I've been here since about 2:30 a.m. Saturday. My daughter played in a volleyball tournament down here, so I'm like, oh, I'll just stay. Didn't realize that would entail me having all sorts of technical issues, but we're good now, so it's all good.
It's all good. All right, let's get it. Warm ups really quick. Key dates. Want to hit on those. We'll hit these a little quicker now. We hit them in the last week's show, but we want to talk about them because this time, it's going to be it. We want to just kind of give it some context for you. So here we are today as we record the 25th of February. We get starting the 27th through March 4th. The NFL Combine is kicking off. So this is the chance. This is where everyone gets to see all of the players in equal footing, doing the measurables, doing the measurements.
321 of them.
It isn't the whole. It isn't everything. But it is an important thing to see, and you can see some of the things they do compared to one another, and that differentiation in certain areas is going to help people make some decisions. A lot of people focus on the 40 as if it's the almighty high for all positions, especially offensive linemen. But they talk about the 40, and there's a lot of other very, very important drills, but there's also very important things happen as you evaluate these players beyond just the 40. And a lot of it is the comparison between them. So the Combine is here. We'll talk about it. We're going to go into the Combine deep. But then on March 5th, it's your deadline to hit the franchise tag. And then 1 week later, 7 days later, the negotiating period, the tampering period begins for free agency. And then 2 days after that, the new
Legal
league year
tampering.
hits. Yeah, the new league year hits. Trades can be made. Players can sign. It's free agency time, baby. It is where everything. So think about it as your teams right now. and your Brad Holmes. You're getting your final looks at these players and these potential draft picks. And you're projecting your boards out, what your guys look like. You're still evaluating. You're still thinking. You're working on that till the very, very end. But now you have to make decisions about who you're going to pick up in free agency, who you're going to go after, because you have your focus on the guys in the draft that you think you're going to get. There's a little bit of a gamble in that space in there, right? Who do you sign? Do you go after that cornerback? Do you draft him? Do you go after one and draft him? There's a lot of machinations that have to happen, a lot of thinking, a lot of things have to work out for teams between free agency and the draft right now. So there's a lot going into this and a lot running through these guys' minds. And then there's dopes like us that want to knock on the podium and ask Mr. Holmes a whole bunch of questions, Jeff.
I have some of those questions. I do.
I know you do.
I apologize. I'm sort of cooked. I've had about 5 hours of sleep in the last 3 days, so we're getting through, man.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I did have a 40-ounce Smoothie King today, and that made me very happy.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna keep it regular.
The Shady Smoothie King out in Lawrence, Indiana. Had to drive by like multiple strip joints to get there. I'm like, oh, wow. This is where you go. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's always where you got to go. All right, so free agency hits, new year begins, all that stuff. Annual league meetings the 24th of March, the end of the month. Off-season programs can begin April 15th. And then the draft, the 25th to the 27th, as I said, we'll have a party in Detroit within 20 minutes of downtown. I'll say that much right now. It is a non-disclosed location, location that will only be disclosed via top secret messenger to a select few. But we will have a heck of a party down there. And we'll
we have a secret knock. That'd be sweet.
We can totally. There are a few roles. Grill master will be an important role there. I'll tell you that. We'll have a good time. So we'll have that. That'll be going on. And then the 5th-year option on contracts at the May 2nd hit. So there's the first piece in the warm-ups today.
Oh, we have somebody who's going to get one. Well, maybe get one.
You want to hit him? You want to talk about him now real quick?
Yeah, might not need it. You don't have to give a 5th-year option. You can start extending them once that window is open. And that would be Penei Sewell. Yeah. You can see an extension for him this offseason coming. Not every team waits.
Yeah.
Some teams like to nip that in the bud and just like, hey, we'll give you the money now because that price tag is only going to get higher as we go on, and higher as Penei Sewell continues to ascend into the pantheon of the highest of the highs of the NFL offensive tackle. So they can extend him this offseason.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be terribly surprising.
No, and to make that commitment, it's the kind of thing a team like this would do too for a guy of that character, just to send the signal early and let it's that kind of a thing. So that's just like the Detroit Lions, something they would do. Then the other thing, I just want to really quick talk about a moment of appreciation. And as we kind of get to this point now, there's folks, and I'm going to go back to my man here. Where is he? I saw him at the beginning. He's always here. Where are you, brother? I saw you. Oh, did you roll off the? You did. You rolled off the chat. Darn it. Oh, there it was. Donkey Kong. He was there. Cool. Dudes, Super Bowl or bust. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree with Super Bowl or bust. But. If you think back, it's been over 20 years since we've had a season like this, and even longer, because the Lions have never won 2 playoff games in a postseason. They won a playoff game in a championship, but they've never won 2 playoff games in a postseason. This was a team and a year. Appreciate it, man. You haven't had this in a long, long time. It wasn't the Super Bowl. It wasn't bust. It wasn't a bust. This is all the arrows pointing in the right direction. And look, it could fall apart next year. It could all fall apart again, and it could be another 30 years. I mean, I'm not saying it will. I'm not wishing for it either, but it could. In the moment, enjoy what you had. Don't be sad because it's over. Be happy that it happened. Enjoy it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Because as Lions fans, you can hold your heads high now with this Detroit Lions team and being a fan of this team. So I want to thank, just thanks to team. Thanks to all the people who rode with us this year. Thanks to the folks riding with us in this offseason as we do. This is one where I was just talking to Sandman today, and we're 2 months behind in our offseason talk, Riz, from the normal situation. You know how weird that is?
I know it. It's very strange. Normally we've had a lot of time, like we've had time to talk about like, we know like we're picking in the top 5, so we have like a defined pool of whom we might be drafting.
I'm on my third
29th
sweetheart
this
by
year.
now. I'm on my third sweetheart by now.
we by this point in 2022, we'd almost moved off Nakobe Dean as the number 2 overall pick. At this point.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Oh,
Hey, what's up, Mike? Kimber, Lions Talk Jet Sports.
And we had moved at this point from Nakobe Dean to Malik Willis, and like he's our number 2. We got to get him, otherwise the draft is a bust.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not to that point yet, thank God.
Yeah, no. This is stuff. This is good stuff. And then you got Brandon, and I remember this. This is right there in my head. And I watched that Russian 5 movie last year. We talked about it. It was fantastic. But remember the Red Wings? They got to the Stanley Cup, got smoked by the Devils 4-0, 4 games to nothing, and didn't even make the Stanley Cup Finals the next year. And then the dynasty began, and Lemieux. I mean the turtle job. McCarty still my hero. Still my hero. I mean, behind me, you can't quite see it. There's a boxing glove where he said it's F. Lemieux signed by him. It's awesome. But that's what it was. That's what it took. And I feel like we're good. So I think that's good shape. So just appreciate what you got. And just appreciate all the folks. We want to appreciate all of you folks that rode with us this season and in the off season here as we head to the combine and the draft and stuff. It's a lot of fun. And we would be remiss if we didn't thank you all for joining us for this ride, because without you guys, it doesn't happen. And gals, it doesn't happen. So thank you all for joining us in the ride. All right. That's the warm-ups. A little longer because it's shorter on the front end with the countdown. We want to give folks a chance to gather. Let's get into it. First big piece of news since we last had a show, Riz. The NFL salary cap hits $255.4 million this year. That's an increase of about $31 million, which is honking. I mean, remember when people said paying Goff $40 million was going to be way too much? I mean, his entire contract, that whole $40 million, just got eaten up with the salary cap increase. And I don't want to get into that too much, but the Lions have $63 million about in cap space right now, 8th most in the NFL after the disaster that Brad Holmes was handed by our good man Bob Quinn or something else. What a year for the increase like that, and the Lions to be poised to make some moves.
Yeah, just for a little bit of a frame of reference, the projected cap was about 10 to 12 million less than what it actually is. Now, most years the places like Over the Cap, Spot Track, even the NFLPA's own website generally underestimates a little bit, just so they don't want people to get too excited. They don't want the players to get like, oh, this is we're going to get this much. Coming out at the 255 base mark, that's pretty impressive. And the NFL, they fluffed their chest about it. This is all of our revenue and we're sharing it with the players. This is great. It really is. It's a big number. And just for reference, the 10 to 12 million extra higher than it was. That's what you're going to pay Aleem McNeil a year. Like that. Yeah. That's an extra Aleem McNeil coming into the fold. That could very well be why you extend Penei Sewell this offseason instead of waiting for it, because you can front load contracts now. Let's say you want to do a Jared Goff contract extension. By the way, I'm not sure that they do, but we'll see. And we talked about this last time, Chris. I don't think the Goff camp is pushing as hard for the contract extension as a lot of people might think they are. It doesn't mean that they don't want one. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't take one. But they're not like, we're going to hold out unless you give us more money. I've heard nothing.
Folks, you heard it here first. Jared Goff has a contract by next week.
Well, now that could be happening because
just based on what you said just now, Riz, you know how it works.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I don't think that they're going to have this acrimonious like holdout thing, like pay me or else. I don't think that's happening.
Yep.
And this is a chance when you get this kind of money, you don't maybe have to add an extra void year on because you can take it now. You can absorb more of that now. That's something that other teams have done in the past. when there's a big influx of cap room or they have a lot of rollover. Lions don't have much rollover on cap from last year to this year, but
unless you're
when,
the Saints
teams get
who get bailed out by this year, right? But they don't have a Lee McNeil money, right? They're flat, which is it's better than being buried, right? But they're flat. They're not going anywhere. Everybody else is getting better.
That's true, and that's the thing is like the cap. Everybody does get raised up, but you can add instead of tacking on that void year in 2029 or 2030 for a Penei Sewell contract, you can pay him more of that bonus. Like, okay, you know what? Let's get that deer through the python now instead of waiting for it to digest through. That's something that could happen. Mike Disner's a creative guy. He's a very shrewd guy with the contracts. It wouldn't surprise me if that's something that happens with a Goff extension if it comes, or a Penei extension, or an Amon-Ra extension. Like maybe we can give him a little bit more guaranteed overall money now, because we can we've got this much more this year. We can budget for the future, and we're not going to be backed up against it. And next year, if we want to get a premium, whoever top of the line wide receiver that comes on the market, or a top of the line offensive tackle that comes on the market, we can go get them if we need to. Not that you need to, but you get those options to you because you can potentially manipulate the cap that way.
Yeah. Here's why I think Goff gets a deal this year, even though they may not be pushing for it. And why would you push for it when you know the team loves you, when you know you're performing well, you know you're going to get next year the cap's going up again. I mean, you watched it walk from $40 to $50 million this year. He could watch it walk from 50 to 60 million next year, right? I mean, the longer you can wait, the more you're going to sign for, right? That's generally the bet you're going to make on yourself. Yep, especially at a quarterback position and a guy at his age. But the other side of it is, and this is where I think Goff is, they give him a good deal, fair deal, right? Then next year we have all that extra money to spend again, and we're in a great position for, it's like Brady. He doesn't take the discount. He just takes the money earlier, and he's happy. Right. He's made a ton of money. I think he's got a number where he's going to be fine with. It might hurt a little early, but it's, again, like you said, it's a good year to hurt a little early. And as the next year and the year after go, we've got all the money we need, and we're pulling the talent in for this team to be that kind of dynasty piece. I don't see it as a window. I honestly, with our front office, I don't see the Lions opening a window. I see them building a machine, and it's an assembly line that's going to continue to pump out playoff teams year after year after year after year. And some of the key pieces are the Brad Holmes, the Dan Campbells, the Jared Goffs of that assembly line, right? The Aiden Hutchinsons as key pieces of that puzzle. Amon-Ra, Penei, right? These are key pieces of that assembly line. If you want to call it a window, it's a 7, 8, 9 year window. As long as you can hold on to these folks and keep them in place, you'll have the ability to keep running product off that line, man.
Now, you do have to keep, you got to hit your draft picks. You got to be able to develop them.
Yep.
We're pretty confident that both of those things are going to happen in Detroit, but that does have to continue. Because that's how this is built. We've talked about this a lot, Chris. Like, you've got the key pieces. Now to build around them, now you're picking 29 instead of 2. Next year you can be picking 32 instead of 5. That sort of thing. You've got to make sure that you're still emphasizing player development and getting players who fit what you want as a Detroit Lion, and that the coaching staff has that developmental bent to them, teaching bent to it, and that the guys that they come in are like guys that will learn, that are willing to buy into that sort of thing. Like, maybe I'm not going to be the best pro I am as a rookie or a second year. By the third year, man, with all the coaching that's going on, with all the support system around me, the veteran leadership that's growing on this team, that's how you sell free agents to come in, and the ring whore people.
You I don't push you over like a CJGJ. I would put into that kind of category, to be honest with you, and not probably. You know what I mean. But the thing here's where I don't worry about the ability to pick at 29, for example, right? Yeah, you're picking at 3, you're getting an impact player, whatever. We picked up St. Brown 112th overall. Brad Holmes has proven.
Aleem was 87, something like that?
Yeah. we're gonna get we're gonna do just fine at 29. I'm not worried about it at all. Right? Old regimes, I would be terrified. Who do you pick? What are you gonna do this way? Nope. These guys can find the talent and can find the players they need, and they're not worried about, oh, this is number 35 level kind of guy you reach for. They don't care. He's their guy. He's the guy
Brian
that fits
Branch.
what they need. Yep.
That's
Exactly
right. That's
exactly.
Sam Laporta.
Yep.
You can find your guys if you know what you want and you know what you're looking for.
Yep.
They're not going to just draft Laken Tomlinson. I think Laken Tomlinson was 28, 27, something like that.
Yep.
And that regime took him because, oh my God, we need a starting guard. And this guy's got a pretty high floor.
We need a potential doctor from Duke University. Right.
I mean, and he wound up being okay.
Yeah. He played for San Francisco forever.
He did. He wasn't any better in San Francisco than he was in Detroit. He was sort of a high floor, low ceiling guy.
Yep.
Now you can have high floor, high ceiling. Yeah. Let's aspire for more. And
let's get higher.
Does.
Let's get high. That's how we
Can
like it.
Can you take me higher?
We're taking that two different ways, but they're both fun. All right, so yeah, I'm not worried about where we're drafting at. I feel good about about Brad Holmes and
the hotel room next to me. Somebody's getting pretty higher.
You said that beforehand. Riz is going to be floating here in a minute. So
I'm not
salary
a pot
cap
guy,
is up.
but damn.
You're going to be. You should close the vents, buddy. Close the vents. 8th most space in the salary cap in 2024. No cap here in Detroit. And that's for all my Gen Z, my Zoomers out there. So we'd be busting.
I learned what that meant this week, Chris. I learned. My daughter taught me. Sometimes it's fun to hang out with a 15-year-old group of girls. So they teach you things.
You know what? I am not going to take that quote out of here. I'm not going to use that as a drop, but
Probably
God, I want to. That's one. Anyway, so yeah, Cap's juicy. A team like the Saints gets bailed out, but overall, the Detroit Lions 8th most cap space in the NFL. The team like we have, and a guy who can absolutely pull people from anywhere in the draft, running the pick machine. I think we're in good shape. All right, let's move on to the next one. Lions staff and player changes. There's a couple changes that have happened since last we had a show, Mr. Risden. First and foremost, I want to talk to former player, now former coach. Great guy all around. Was a great player. Still a young coach though, and the story is not written, but it's at least for the near future, it's not going to be written in Detroit. Dre Bly is no longer a secondary coach for the Detroit Lions.
And we kind of knew this was coming because we talked about it when we were in Mobile. I had mentioned to you that, they interviewed on the day where they hired Terrell Williams, and we'll get to him in a minute, but they had interviewed some defensive back coaches, specifically guys who looked like cornerbacks coaches to me.
Yep.
And we talked about it on the recap show. I think it was the last day that we were in Mobile. We're like, Dre Bly might not be long for Detroit here. And it turns out that is, in fact, the case. And it sucks because he was a great player. He was one of my favorite players of that Lions era. Him and Sean Rogers were my guys. And I loved Dre, but he was an interesting hire at the time because at North Carolina, they weren't really sad to lose him. Guys didn't develop all that much there. And it happened in Detroit. And we were just talking about the emphasis on player development and getting guys in and growing their games. And that just isn't what Dre did.
No.
And because of that, he's out of a job right now. And I'm not sure that position coaching is probably the best thing for him because it just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked in his alma mater in college. It hasn't worked in his alma mater in the NFL. I mean, maybe go down to the high school level, maybe something like that. I don't know, but he's going to have options because he's Dre Bly. That name carries cachet, and it should.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to cry a lot that he's not on the coaching staff come August.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. The next gentleman who's left us. Same side of the ball, coach, John Fox.
Yes.
I love me some Foxy. I hope it's just I want some time now to relax and enjoy my family and watch football on Sunday on TV, and that's that. I thought there was a lot of potential with John. I wonder also if it maybe AG remained John was like, okay, I'm going to go. If AG was gone, I wonder if John Fox would have actually stepped into that role and done that.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's a question. I'm not saying he would. It's just something to ponder because
Right.
he's a guy. I think he would have answered the call. You know what I mean? It's the kind of guy he is.
I do. There's a couple things going on. He is 69 years old. He has had heart surgery about 12 years ago, I want to say. It's the same heart surgery that I had, so I'm very familiar with it. I've actually talked with him about it. The lifespan on the valves, we had heart aortic valve replacement surgery. He's starting to get at his age where he might need that surgery again soon.
Man, it's 69. Go early. Go early. God.
Yeah, and that's actually, we timed mine because I was younger and I was relatively fit for the surgery. You know, where mine's going to hit, where I'm going to have to get a new one when I'm around 60.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm 51 now. I've got a few years left on it, but that surgery was a bitch, man. When I was 40, I was 43 when it happened.
Yeah.
And it took a lot out of me. John Fox is a much older man. If he's got to have that again, that's not easy. It's not easy on your body. And by the way, he is a guy, if you hadn't seen John Fox in a long time, he lost a tremendous amount of weight.
Yep.
And I don't know if that was, like, I don't want to say he looked unhealthy, but he certainly didn't look like the John Fox that you remembered from his days in Chicago or Carolina. So maybe there's things going on there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
Wish the best. Wish the best to him.
Yeah, and this is a guy, he was paid for 2 full seasons to not coach in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's going to be hurting for money. Maybe he wants to enjoy his grandkids, things like that. There's a whole variety of things. Everybody immediately went to the nefarious card. Like, oh,
Always.
He got forced out. John, no.
Nah.
Maybe? We don't know.
Yeah.
Until something comes out concrete on that, don't assume the worst on it. There's a whole host of reasons why he might not be here anymore. I don't know. Chris doesn't know. We're not going to pretend that we do know.
Yep.
But there's a lot of potential for why he's here or why he's no longer here.
Yep.
Some of them a little gray. Some of them are a little more, like maybe he just wants to live his life, not with the stress of being an NFL coach anymore.
Well, Mike Hodges in the chat, he brought it up. It can be brutal, but this staff's willingness to move on from good people who aren't good coaches is flat out encouraging to me. It was Caldwell's biggest weakness as a head coach. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
And I'll take that a step further because, again, we don't want to make this like a nefarious thing about John Fox, but this team's ability to have coaches depart, whether they let them go or they go on their own, and to rebound and put people in place that help this team continue to be successful. That's the strength. Caldwell held on because he was always afraid. What if you lose this guy? It could be worse. That was his fear.
What happens if we lose Joe Lombardi as our offensive coordinator?
Exactly. It can only get worse, right? He is afraid. I work well with him. How am I going to get someone that I work that well with? So I think it was more a fear of a change thing for him, but it's good. This team is resilient enough to be able to make these changes and continue running. So that's good to know. Yeah. That's good to know.
It's good. Right. But just for the people who are like, oh my God, we lost John Fox. Like, I'll ask this as somebody who was in the building. I'm not totally sure what John Fox did for the defense. I know he was a senior assistant. I know he had some play in the strategizing of the designing of the blitzes, and I know he worked specifically with some players in the secondary. But they like game days. Okay.
Yeah.
What'd he do? Point to something what he did that they're going to miss or that they might want more of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. You can ask, and I will ask guys like Justin and Dave this week, like, what exactly did John Fox do? And I'm not sure they're going to be able to give great answers on that, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure they want to. Yeah. To be honest with you, because I don't think they necessarily want to give away some of the inside talk.
Yeah.
So.
Now we do talk on Tuesday to Brad and Dan, and I would expect it will come up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get on. We'll get to the player side. Player that's been, I'm going to use this word, but it's probably not the best word. Mercifully let go. Tracy Walker. he's been released. And I say that because it gives him the opportunity to find the place that he wants to go. People can start thinking about it, kicking the tires and do their thing. Tracy's been a great piece of the puzzle here in the years he's been here. And I'll say, just as a person watching him, at training camp, camp is over or practice is over. He's on the field with the fans, but you know who else is with him? His wife and his baby. And together he's like, he has them with him. He doesn't like neglect to go spend time with them or have them, but he brings them with him while he goes out and interacts with the fans every day after practice. Tracy Walker is a class act, man. He's class act. Dude. That kind of guy is a loss, and that kind of personality in the locker room is a loss to have go. But they did right by him to let him go and find his next place. The numbers didn't work. The body count didn't work the way it was set up in the locker room. So best of luck, Tracy, where you're going. It's a loss. But he gets his chance to move on.
It was a planned loss, though. He was too expensive. They're saving, I think it's $5.5 million in cap room.
Yep.
Adding some dead cap, which, by the way, one of the reasons why our cap figure is so good is because we're not paying unintentional dead cap. We hit like Tracy's going to add to it, but like you're not paying Trey Flowers $13 million not to be on the team this year. They're very, very good about avoiding that. Now they do at the other end. They do void years at the other end. Mm-hmm. And we just got a massive influx of dead cap, but it's intentional. Like they did that on purpose. Right. And I know on the accounting ledger, it's the same, but it's not. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yep. And then you save some money, you pick up some money, you get the money badger back on 1 year deal. Look, you've shorted up. You have nothing to worry about now. You can just get better. You can only get better, right?
He will have competition. I don't. In fact, I put it out on Twitter. If or X, whatever they want to call themselves, if the Lions draft a kicker, I will buy 10 people at random a 40-ounce smoothie king of their choice.
Can I be the 11th? Like a guaranteed smoothie? All right.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No.
It is, I will say, it is a pretty good kicker class. I dove into it a little bit last week. Like, there's some good kickers in this draft. Don't draft kickers, though, and I don't think the Lions are going to be – I'd be shocked if they drafted a kicker. Badgley, he can be back and he can try out. And as I have repeatedly said, and other people are finally catching on to it, it wasn't a lack of confidence on Michael Badgley that led Dan Campbell to not kick. He just doesn't want to kick, folks. That's what he is. It's the cost of doing business with Dan Campbell as your coach. Not everything is going to be perfectly the way you want it to be. It's the same way with Calvin Johnson. When you had Calvin Johnson, he was phenomenal. He also led the league in drops just about every year. It's the cost of doing business.
Yep.
That's one of the things that you're just going to have to get used to as a Lions fan. We are so blessed that we had Eddie Murray into Jason Hanson, into Matt Prater with that one little hiccup of Nate Freeze.
Yeah.
We have to reevaluate the fact that the kicker is not an important part of this team anymore. Yeah. And it's hard for a lot of Lions fans to let that go. And I get it. Like, we were blessed, man. It was cool. Yeah. We always had a great kicker. Yep. Even when the rest of the team sucked. Well, now the team's great. Maybe we don't need the great kicker. Maybe Badgley is the kicker. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
it's a change in thought that a lot of Lions fans are having a lot of trouble with.
James Willis in the chat comes up with, I don't know how I got the name Money Badger, but his kicks are anything but.
He did not miss a field goal in the Lions uniform this year.
There you go. Woo. All right. Detroit fan man dibs on one of the smoothies. Come on, Reichert in the 7th.
Here's a good one.
That would be worth the smoothies. I would forego my 11th freebie and I would help you buy if we got him in the 7th. I would be pants off for that. I really would. That's another long-term solve. You know what I mean? Done. Thank you.
They can sign one after the draft, but I really don't think they're drafting one. Sorry.
Okay. All right, now you buy your you got to buy your smoothies, and I want that 11. All right, we'll get to the next one. Should have hedged a little. Key Detroit Lions unrestricted free agents. We'll get to this really quick. Yeah. I want to talk about it from a different perspective. I'm not going over all 20. I don't want to go over all 20. I want to. There's 2 of them that were starters, and then 10 others that started last year. And I think that's how I kind of like to look at it. The 2 that are starters are Graham Glasgow and Jonah Jackson. I feel like we hold on to Graham and Jonah not so much. I think that's more Jonah wants money that he thought he was going to be able to earn this year. I think he believes he's still worth it, could still earn it, but just had a down year. And I don't know that the Lions are in on that. And that's why I think he's going to walk. But I think Graham is an integral piece, even as a backup of this offensive line going forward. But he very well could be a starter. I mean, he did a great job this year. Had a couple of hiccups along the way, but overall, plus for Graham Glasgow.
Yeah, and I do expect him back. And again, some of it is the fact that he can also be your backup center. And they did, in fact, take advantage of that last year when Frank was out. With the way that Frank toyed with retirement this year, I love the idea of having a guy who has played center and guard and can come in. I do think that Graham is back. I don't think it's going to break the bank. He's not a guy who's out buying Ferraris. He can't fit in a Ferrari. So something different.
After his playing days, it's a little bit of slimming down. He'll be okay.
You know what? I bet he is going to be one of those guys that shrinks.
Yeah.
Like gets down to like 240, 250 after his playing days.
Yep.
There's a lot of ex-linemen that have done that, and it's
sorry.
Pretty cool to see them. It's weird to see them.
240, 250 is still a little too hard to get no Ferrari, just
Yes, I do know that, Chris. I might be of that size.
All right, so then there's a couple, 10 others.
Can't even get my wife's Mazda.
That started in 23. You got CJGJ, Josh Reynolds, Kendall Vildor, Tyson Alau, Charles Harris, Halapulavati Vaitai, I can do that one, Will Harris, Matt Nelson, Dan Skipper, and DPJ Donovan Peoples-Jones. Of those guys, Riz, who do you think we hold tight? Who do you think we hold on to?
I think DPJ comes back inexpensively and competes as your fourth or fifth wide receiver and your kick returner, punt returner. Depending on what's going on with Khalif Raymond, we don't know what's up with Khalif's injury. So that kick role might be open. If he tore ligaments in that knee, probably can't count on Leaf coming back. He's under contract, so obviously he'll be back. That's a dicey one. So we don't know exactly on that. I think they're going to try to get Josh Reynolds back. And remember, the last time that Josh Reynolds hit free agency, he signed with the Tennessee Titans, and it failed miserably.
Yep.
6 weeks later, he's in Detroit, and Jared Goff's right-hand man. And by the way, Jared Goff started playing a lot better once he got Josh Reynolds. And that might be one of those where he's like, you know what? I can probably get an extra $2 million a year from the Colts if I really want it, but I might not really want that. It might be worth it for him. Now, the other thing is, if Josh Reynolds catches that pass, the Lions are in the Super Bowl. I don't know if he might want to escape. I'm saying this. I don't know.
Oh, man.
If he might want to be away from that situation because maybe he wants a shot at redemption. You know, some guys are like that. Some guys are just like, you know what? I'm not going to be Jackie Smith from the Cowboys. Google him, kids. And he might want the change from that. Again, I don't know that. I haven't heard anything either way on that. But that's something that you have to consider, that he might just want a fresh start somewhere else. Because, again, if he catches that pass, the Lions are in the Super Bowl, and we're not worried about Michael Bensley being the kicker or not, because we don't need him, because we scored a damn touchdown and we've run the clock out and we have won the game. That's a tough spot. We'll learn a lot about Josh Reynolds and how he wants to handle that too.
The new death taxes and Will Harris in a Lions uniform. What do you think? You think he sticks around?
I can't conceive of another team giving him more than the Lions would. And this goes back to when going to the 2022 draft, where I was like, they like their linebackers. Like, for whatever, they like Will Harris.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I do get it.
He's a backup.
He's an easy guy to like.
And he's a backup in 3 positions.
Yeah, and he does do fairly well on special teams. Now, if another team wants to pay him to be one spot higher on the depth chart at corner or safety, I can see him leaving.
Yeah.
But yeah. Vildor, I do think Vildor will also get a chance to be back as a guy that can be your fourth or fifth cornerback.
Get a chance to compete.
Has played. Yeah, get a chance to compete for that role with other new people.
Yep. And if there's one position that you need depth on an NFL team, it is cornerback. It is the position that is absolutely every year. It just seems we get stung there, man. I mean, we need 2-3 layers of depth, quality depth to be able to field the team.
You do, because Jerry is coming. Jerry will be back. He's a restricted free agent. He's coming off of an injury. We expect Jerry Jacobs back. Cam Sutton will be back. It costs way too much to get rid of him. I know everybody's like, dump his sorry ass. No, let him try to redeem himself.
Yep.
That might be the type of guy he is. And by the way, playing as the number 2/3 outside corner is a very big difference than playing as the number 1 outside corner. By the way, the guy who was signed to be one of those outside corners last year, Emmanuel Mosley, all the teams are saying that he's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but it sure seems like a lot of people who would know seem to be expecting Emmanuel Mosley to come back. Now, this is a guy who has played 2 plays in 2 years and tore 2 ACLs. So we can't rely on that, but get him back in to compete. Keep on that theme.
Yep, there you go. All right. Unrestricted free agents. I think that gets us set up now.
I don't think Charles Harris is back. I don't think Dan Skipper, you can sign him in August. He'll be happy. Yeah.
Charles Harris is a good guy. I know that much. But
Skip's
back. I love Skips. We got to get Skipper on the show, man. We got to get him on the show. I love Dan Skipper. The one thing about Dan Skipper is he's like, where's Waldo? He's in every picture except Waldo is camouflage. You can't miss Dan. You can't miss Dan at all. I love that, man. Oh, I love his personality. I love it. Just he's kind of I see myself in him. The channeled, like in the moment, just the channeled, focused rage to the point, and then out of it, right? And then in the moment, you know what I mean? It's just I can
nothing but love for Skip, but he's not a guy that you need to sign now.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
He's a guy that you can wait till after OTAs. And he might like that. He might, I don't have to go to practice. This is great. I can be with my kids. It's awesome.
Man. All right, let's get into it now. The next piece and what's coming up, the most closest thing. I don't know if that's even English. The next thing hitting, and it's where Riz is at right now in Indianapolis. The 2024 NFL Scouting Combine.
Lucas Oil Stadium's right there. It's right. That's right across the street.
I can smell it through my earphones. And that means the red garter is that direction.
Yeah, and the slippery noodle's up that way too. Here, I got the mobile camera. Let me show the window there. That's Lucas Oil Field through that window. I'm not going to walk it over there. It's just bright.
You'll break something. All right, let's talk about quick what to look for. Let's take the big broad view at the combine. The next couple days, look, they're there. People are there, but it's meetings.
Yes.
It's there's stuff going on, but what it really starts kicking off and gets juicy on Thursday.
Yeah, I can tell you that agents are in town because I'm going to a Pacers game with them.
There you go. Thursday is when it kicks off, 3 p.m. This is when you were going to tune your TV. All right. Tune your TV.
That's when the player
what
workouts
is it, 1979? Well, I just said tune your TV. You're going to pop your app and open up the feed. Jesus, I need a drink. All right, defensive linemen and linebackers, 3 p.m. on Thursday. I went from no cap and bussin' to tune your TV. Just think about how freaking wide my brain is. How flat. I don't know. Flat and wide. All right. Defensive linemen and linebackers, 3 p.m. Thursday. Make sure you stream that. I don't even know what to say now. I'm like, I still call them albums too. I don't know.
However you do.
Yeah. Tune in and turn on and drop out at 3 p.m. Thursday for the defensive linemen and linebackers. See, I turned it back into an old reference. On Friday, you got the defensive backs and tight ends at 3 p.m. That's tight ends is my wife's. She will be glued Friday at 3 p.m.
Of course she's in the tight ends.
Quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. on Saturday. And then offensive linemen, 1 p.m. on Sunday. That's the breakdown of when to see the positions that you want. There you go.
They work out.
My car phone is still working. No cap, Jordy. That's
great.
what I did. That was me.
He gets the show. Love it. So as we just went through the workouts, the guys do their podium interviews the day before they work out. So on Wednesday, I will be listening to defensive linemen talk. I will actually be transcribing 2 of their podium interviews. We get Brad and Dan on Tuesday. We will have full summaries for that. The signups. So one of the things that's behind the scenes, I'll let you all in on this. As a PFWA member, we have to transcribe the podium interviews, and we sign up for them. And as soon as the signups came out, like within 10 minutes, I'm on there, and I'm going to sign up to transcribe Brad or Dan. Justin Rogers is on one, Dave Burkett's on the other already, like as soon as it came out. So good for you guys. But we will get to talk to them on Tuesday, and we will have all sorts of things. That'll be fun. Then the players start coming out. And podium time last year, by the way, is when I found Antoine Green. Because he was standing by himself. I'm one of those kind-hearted souls. I'm empathetic. I saw nobody was talking to him, so I went and I talked to Antoine Green.
Well, and you're a little introverted, Riz. Nobody would believe it, but you're a little. You went there because no one else is around. You can have a nice, quiet conversation.
That's very true. But in talking to Antoine Green last year, I'm like, oh, this guy's coming to Detroit. Like you could tell. And he'd mentioned he had just met with them that night or the night before. And I'm like, oh, Antoine Green might want to study some film on that. So we find we find out more to the point. We find guys that aren't. And I will go back to last year when the defensive back interviews were, and I stood in front of Christian Gonzalez for 15 minutes. I transcribed his combine interview, and I'm like, they're not going to like this guy. They're just not. It's nothing against Christian Gonzalez. He's a very good player. Was a very good rookie. He's just not cut from their cloth. And it was pretty obvious. And I remember talking to Nolan from the Detroit News, Nolan Bianchi. We had a conversation after because he was standing with me for most of it. And we looked at each other at the end and we're like, they're not going to be into him, are they? Like, it was pretty clear for what again, there are going to be phenomenal players that are here that would seem to fit what the Lions need. And they're not going to want anything to do with them because they just don't fit culturally. And it's not Jalen Carter, getting in the car accident. It's not anything like that. It's just with Christian Gonzalez is a great dude. His mindset, his priorities, the way he carried himself, he just wasn't a Lion.
This is exactly how I wanted to set up this part of it too. Yeah. After the schedule, Riz, it's exactly it. Yeah. This for fans. This whole thing is what to look for in the combine. Number one, you're looking for the differences in players, right? It's not just a straight 40 speed. Don't worry about the straight 40 speed. Don't worry about just the 3-cone, right? Watch for those differences and differences within the drills for the players. Okay, that's where you're going to find, okay, this guy was really good football film, right? But what does it mean in these drills? It's always the football film first for the players. So when you see these great scores or you see them do something a little different, then go watch to see how it translates in the field. That's how to go watch your film. I mean, you can do your research early, and then oh wow, he has 40 time. That's it. That puts him up there. No, that's backwards. I mean, watching the film early is fine, but take a look at the combine information and then use that to help inform your film that you watch later. Because the football, what they do on the field, how they act between the lines means more to this administration than how they score on a 3-cone or a shuttle or a 40. So just do that first. Then also, when you see these interviews, and that's why it's so important to me and you too, Riz, I know, when we do the Senior Bowl, to get that time with those guys and to see, even though we didn't interview every player there, we watched them in interviews, we watched them on the field, we watched them interacting with coaches, we watched them interacting with others. And then Jackson Powers Johnson and Luke McCaffrey, Christian's brother, he hears that all the time. I know that's got to bug the shit out of him. But how they would just come back to us later and start talking like, hey, yeah, my mom's like, you learn about their character and you can just look at it and say, potential Detroit Lion. And you can
Jackson Powers Johnson is He checks every freaking box.
Yeah, but twice.
The only one that he won't be able to check, unfortunately, is availability.
It's 29, yeah.
He's going to be gone before the Lions pick.
But that's the other piece, and that is just as important to this front office.
It is.
And look, they will take a guy of slightly lesser athletic ability for a guy with character and desirability of the game, the love of the game, and the football. Like, again, you look at Amon-Ra, he's just such an easy one to kind of pick at, and that's why we kind of go to it. But he's a guy, he keeps that list. He keeps that list of everyone drafted before him, and he goes over it in his head every game, right? He does 202 with the jugs machine. I know we hear it a million times. It's getting to be about Clayton Kershaw time with that story too. But it's what he does. It's how he's built. It's who he is. Then he got picked so late, right? That's such a key part of what these guys are looking for. Don't worry that it's 29. Don't worry that it's going to be a reach to get a whatever at that. It's not. It never is. These guys, this front office, Brad Holmes, the scouting department, they value things differently. I have a feeling you're going to see other teams this year start surprising people this draft because they're going to start looking at those things as well and valuing those things as well. And you're going to see some things moving around that you wouldn't either. But the time at Senior Bowl, the time at the combine, these things, seeing these players getting to interact with them, that's when you can tell more often that they're not a Detroit Lion than necessarily they are. But that is actually a huge tell for guys like us who look at these mock drafts, have to, in your case, have to do them, we do on the show too, but we'll work through some of these things. It helps you put together a more educated, more informed opinion on that because there's some key pieces to that. So with that, Riz, I want to just kind of say we've got the mindset, we've got the schedule. What do we want to look for here? You're sitting there at the combine. As fans, we're going to see a lot of things, see interviews. We're going to see Rich Eisen with the St. Jude thing. So please, folks, definitely do your donations there, St. Jude for sure. If you want to do it through us, it's great. If you want to do it to him, it's great too.
I think he's doing it Saturday, I want to say. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure if you tune into this combine value, they will hype it endlessly, as they should.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, look, donate through us. That's great. We appreciate it. Absolutely, we appreciate it. There's a real, I'll get to in a second. Or through Rich Eisen. But donate to St. Jude for sure. It's such a great cause. It does some really, really great and amazing things. We're invited to fly out there the week before the draft. We're not going to be able to do it because it's the week before the draft, but we're going to do something with St. Jude. We're going to the hospital, do some time with them and put some stuff together, some vid together.
Memphis, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get to that. But okay, Riz, what else besides the St. Jude opportunity to separate people from their money for a good cause? What else do we look for at this scouting combine?
So I've gone through back in my head of like the guys that I've watched and the Lions took interest in. And there's a couple things. Number one was guys who took it seriously, the workouts, but not like too seriously.
Yeah.
Like there is all the players right now are going through track and field training because it's track and field event. The guys who understand how to manipulate it so they look like they're actually doing football things while they're doing the track and field things, Amon-Ra did that.
Yep.
Aleem did that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he looks like he's running like a football player who got a little bit of track training. That's sort of the guys that they're looking for on those sorts of things. So I'm looking speed. The 40 is not as important as the 10-second split of the 40. If you want to do the composite thing, our friend Math Bomb, Kent Platt, does a great job with the RAS. The things that you want to look at, the 3-cone drill for guys that have to work in a short area, very important. The explosiveness for guys like pass rushers, you want to see broad jump. You want to see vertical jump. You want to see that 10-second split. You want to see in the position drills that they're doing on the field, you want to hear the pop from their hands hitting that bag. You want them to understand not hitting the bag at the top, hitting it right in the chest plate, right in the middle of it. those are the things that the Lions are looking for. And by the way, they've told us this as people that are here. We met with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn aside from their they don't do podium interviews. They both pulled us aside, and one of the questions that AG got asked was like, "What specifically are you looking at when we're looking in here in the stadium?" Because most of the rest of it goes on in the convention center, which is about a mile that way. And he told us, like, I want to see hands, man. I want to see guys that look like they're playing football while they're running track. So when you're watching it, maybe not the guys who are like take 15, 20 seconds to get in their track stance and get their feet just right and lean in and just go. Like Calvin Johnson back in the day, not even wearing his own freaking shoes. Just like, okay, give me some shoes. I'm going to go. I'm just going to blaze my trail here. They love that sort of thing. Tay Banks, the cornerback from Maryland last year, was a guy. They wound up not getting him, and he had an okay rookie season. He fit perfectly. He was a very easy guy to mock to the Lions. He was a guy that when he showed up at the combine, he like to run the 40. He warmed up a little bit on the side, got in the blocks. Like, can we go? Like, just go. They like that. They like that a lot.
Nice.
So that's sort of things to look for. But definitely the 40-second dash, other than cornerback, they don't care a lot about the 40. They only really care about the first 10 seconds. Because this is a quickness, explosiveness-based team more than they are a speed-based team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're running a 4.58 40 and you're going to be an outside corner, you're probably not going to be Detroit Lion. So they're not a Detroit Lion. Because we kind of have the problem now. Yep. They do need somebody who can turn and run on the outside. I've been told, not that it's a surprise, they're looking for somebody that can turn and run well long, so they don't have to shade their safety as much.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what we're looking for. Combine interviews, you want to hear. I was a team captain. I was an academic all-conference player once or twice. Even if I transferred, like I
love my mama.
Was all academic at both schools. Like that's a big thing. I transferred. I was made a captain at my new school, like right away. Very big. I played multiple sports in high school. I didn't only play football. I wrestled. I swam. I played track. If I'm an offensive lineman, that was one of the reasons why I asked Jordan Morgan down at the combine. Did you throw in track? He's like, hell yeah, baby, I did. Or at Mobile, he was proud of it. That's why I asked him how far he threw. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. They like that too. That's something that they're definitely looking for. So pay attention. Like the guys who've only done football all their life, while it's enviable that like they have that focus and that love for football, you kind of want that diversity of skills. And that's something that's not just exclusive to the Lions. One of the guys last year, Luke Musgrave, he's a Packer now. Like he was a skier. Like, damn, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah. The Brown brothers from Illinois, Chase and his brother, they were running. Was the running back? They were figure skaters when they were kids. Like that's pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
The Lions like that sort of thing. It's neat. Yep. They loved that Hutch danced. Like that was legitimately a thing. Like he trained for competitive dance. So like we see how that helps you for football. It might seem trite, but the Lions and other teams do care a lot about that. If you're an offensive lineman, you probably need to have wrestled at some point in your life. At least tried it.
Oh my. All right.
Stuff. It's fun
okay.
getting my combine brain is finally kicking in. This is kind of fun because I love this week. I love being down here.
It's fun.
It's a great city. It is a phenomenal city for a convention. They know how to do it. And it's funny because I will be here 2 weeks after my daughter will be playing in a volleyball tournament. Her court assignment 2 years ago was actually right where they do the podium interviews. Like they clear it all out, put it in. This town knows how to do conventions better than any other place I've been. It's phenomenal. Again, I'm at a hotel across the street from like Lucas Oil Fields right there on the side of it. This hotel's cheap enough that I can afford it. You can't do that in a lot of other cities.
Yeah.
Not even in Detroit. Like it's a very affordable place. There's cool things to do.
That's what I'm finding in, I got my Pearl Jam tickets in Dublin. I'm finding hotels there pretty nutty.
Yeah,
whatever. A good time.
Oh, by the way, if you're going to the draft in Detroit, be very careful about your reservations because there has been a thing where some hotels didn't realize that the draft was coming and they like wiped their slate clean and now are rebooking everything. Be careful on that. Just be careful. Double check, triple check if you've already made your reservations that you still in fact have them. Because if you got a really great deal on this like a year ago, they might have bent you over already. Check, make sure. And don't just do it online, call the hotel. I say that as somebody who worked in hotels in college. Call them. It's a lot easier. You'll get a lot further talking to an actual person there.
Yeah.
Be careful.
All right. So there you go. And private draft party coming for the Detroit Lions. Well, I guess it's the whole NFL, but the only ones that matter. The Detroit Lions draft in Detroit. It's an NFL event that happens to be taking place in Detroit. We will be draft. You'll love it. We got a great thing, but it is an exclusive. You know, there'll be a man with a velvet rope, the whole thing. So there you go. Good stuff coming there.
I'm going to feel classy.
Oh, don't go too far, Riz. You get to see Riz work. You get to see him put stories together. You get to see him doing that. You'll see him inch in, on and off the set.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So draft weekend, I will publish around 350 things, and I will write about half of those. It's so busy freaking weekend.
Yeah.
It's fun, though. I love it. I love it. I really do. But I will not be Mr. Social Butterfly because it's a work time for me. So.
Yep. So good time. Great place. Combine now. Week after the combine, you start hitting free agency, and then it's off to the races. It is off to the races. This next month is going to be interesting. I have a whole boatload of travel coming. So we're going to see, Riz and I have to figure out, are we going to do weekend shows this month? Are we going to do them during the week? Do I do them from the road? We'll figure out what we have. We'll see what the schedules work, and we'll let you know. The best way to stay in tune with that and to know what's going on there is by hanging around on the Twitter. So, but we can talk about that right now. Don't forget us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Support the show, get access to the Slack, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, get the inside access. And actually, you see every time, first and foremost, exactly what's happening. And those are really the folks that are going to have the chance at the private party. It's going to come from the Patreon folks mostly. Also follow us on Twitter. You get all the information on what's going on, what show, when, where, how, that stuff at DET Lions Podcast, at DET Lions Podcast on the X. I still call it Twitter too. I don't know. I tweet on the X. I X on the tweet. XXX. I don't know. At DET Lions Podcast, at Jeff Risden, the two to follow. You'll get all the show notes. You know what's going on. Check us out. Follow us there. Those are the best places to go. Also, go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Because, well, Riz, tell them.
I want to come into your ear holes automatically. Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because it's Combine Week, and we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you soon.